All right, Woodman Hills Metropolitan District, regular board meeting for Thursday, February 25th, 2021, is now in session and called to order at 5:36. We'll start with roll call.
John Martin here.
Daisy Popovich here.
Troy Stinson's here. Neil?
I'm here.
Okay. And we'll see if Sherry, we'll leave it open for her to see if she can call, if she calls in here in a minute. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to, we do have a quorum that is 4. So we're going to move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the executive session for determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations under CRS 246402-4E. And this will be namely pertaining to the refinancing of the district's bonds. And with that being said, I will entertain a motion to enter executive session.
I motion we enter executive session.
I'll second.
And a motion by John and a second by Stacy. And if there's no other discussion on it, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries. We'll now in executive session. We are now back in public session. So we're going to go to we're on item 4, President's welcome and remarks. I see some of the same folks out there and some new folks. Welcome everybody to the February meeting here at the end of the month. Hope everybody's enjoying the snowfall. I know Ted was out enjoying it last week. Me, myself, I'm ready for spring and to move out and get on with things. Hopefully the pandemic starts to level out and we'll get some more folks the vaccine and get things to somewhat normal. A lot shorter agenda tonight. Apologize for the long executive session. But we're hoping to have something good to announce in the near future that will come about from that. With that being said, does any other board member have any opening remarks or welcome remarks they'd like to say tonight?
I'd just like to say that, it's really good working with everyone in this group and looking forward to this year. We kind of jumped into January and ended the year pretty quick. We went in February, the year feels like it's already moving faster than I want it to. So, hopefully everybody can give us some feedback on things they're interested in and what they're doing and give it to the board as well as to the district. So that's it.
John, Sherry, Stacy. Okay, if there's nothing else, Daniel, you have the flag?
I do. Give me just 1 second.
Okay, does somebody want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance when the flag comes up?
Ta-da.
Jaden will do it.
Say again?
Jaden will do it.
Perfect.
Huh? Are you guys ready? Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, Jaden.
I pledge allegiance
Pledge
to the flag
to the flag
of the United States of America,
And to
Huh?
the republic stands
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
I say it really quickly. Don't judge me.
Nicely done.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's 14 now, guys. Look out.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, they don't seem to stay little for long. Okay, we're going to go to item 5, approval of agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. A motion from Neil and a second from Stacy. Is there any other discussion on the agenda? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries unanimous. All right, item 6 will be approval or disapproval of the board minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as written.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Sherry and a second by Neil. Is there any other discussion on the board minutes for January 28th meeting? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Aye.
You need
Aye.
to sit,
Aye.
huh? Do you need to sit here?
Okay, motion carries.
To sit here.
Item 7 will be attorney's report. Ted, the floor is yours.
I have a lot of matters to cover. And I'm thinking that folks should throw questions at me as I move through it rather than waiting till the end because there's so much. Let me start with paintbrush. We had a long meeting this morning, Jerry and I on our side, and Joseph and Tip O'Neill from their side. It came down, it was a productive meeting. It came down to a request that we made for Joseph to give us the detail of what it exactly is that they're having heartburn. And we got that this afternoon at 4:28. I got a list of issues to be discussed. In the meeting this morning, we agreed that Jerry would respond to the list within a week. And so we have their list, which is way more than we ever had before, because now we've got something specific. What is it the specific objections are to? And Jerry has a week to respond to it. And then as Jerry responds, we'll see if there's bounce back from that. So it was a very positive, I think, meeting. Jerry was there. I don't know if he agrees or disagrees, but I thought it went well because we got a dialogue started and we got detail, the very specific detail later in the day. So that's where we are on paintbrush. Anybody got any questions on paintbrush?
So is this to renegotiate the IGA, or is this?
Yes, that was on both sides, an agreement that the IGA needs to be amended. But we're trying to work our way through this stuff so that as we get to the IGA, we will have an agreement as to the elements that go into it. So it's a two-step process, if you will. Let's work our way through
You have
this.
all of the legal documents from the court proceedings and everything that you need to from the district to be able to mount that challenge to whatever we're doing here, right?
I don't, right now, I don't need any court documents.
Right.
The court case was huge. There were 23 pages of docket entries, 500 entries in the docket sheet. The IGA resulted is a part of the settlement to that litigation, but there's one other piece that nobody had, and which is the actual settlement agreement, and that's floating around right now for them to track it down. It's not that we know, it's not in the court register, but everybody sort of started with the fact that we were all new. None of us were involved in that prior litigation. The goal is not to litigate anything. It's to find to some resolution. So I think it went favorably because I got the specific list now, and Jerry's got a week to respond to it. So we're not in the litigation world at all.
Perfect.
Okay, should I move on?
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right, number 2 is the soft cost agreement. If you all recall, it's with Melody Holmes, who's the active participant on behalf of Horton. The soft cost agreement is signed by both sides. What has taken a lot of hassle, in my opinion, unnecessary, but it is that there's an escrow process through a title company that they inserted. And we spent more time jacking around, quite frankly, with getting it done, but it is done now. And Rachel tells me that she's got the information that she needs in order to make a request, a demand for funds from that escrow account.
Okay.
Rachel, are you with me? You agree with me? We've got everything mechanically we need to be able to make that request?
Yes, I believe so. I'm gonna do one, I think, either tomorrow or Monday. So.
Okay, good. So it just it bothers me we even have the thing in the first place. It's much ado about nothing. But anyway, we've got it and it's signed. All right, next. Oh, I'm sorry, anybody else got soft cost questions? No? All right, I'll move on. The Guthrie line. There is some unresolved issues regarding an easement. I've suggested we get, Jerry says we can't find this easement document in our material and nobody's able to find it. I've made the suggestion we get a title commitment or have an O&E done. That's in the air right now. It's not resolved. So that's where we are. Jerry, you want to jump in on that? Anything you want to add?
This is Guthrie line is owned 50-50 with Meridian. And I have been working with Meridian to see if they have any information on these easements. There are actually 3 easements. One doesn't look like it was ever drawn up. 2 were never signed and recorded. There are, I believe, 3 more that were done properly. But this goes back quite a few years, back when Butch was managing Woodman Hills, and that's one reason why I contacted Meridian to have Butch look into it, since it was all supposed to be done under under his administration. So, but we'll definitely, once I did get a bunch of information from Meridian. It doesn't look like we're on the same page. It looked like the easements we're talking about, they produced were for a different part of the town or Guthrie line. So I will, but it's moving forward. We'll get it resolved. It's just kind of a housekeeping thing that from way back that we have to deal with.
A practical example of that is we have a legal description that says Exhibit A, which means Exhibit A to some agreement, but we don't have the agreement that it's Exhibit 2. So
well,
we're still struggling.
And part of the problem is, see, the properties have changed hands. So, but definitely the pipe is in the ground. We kind of have if you'll excuse my terminology, a grandfather deal that, the pipe is there. It's just a matter of getting the easement secured. So hopefully it'll be an easy task.
So that's where, I mean, it's unresolved, but as you can hear, we're working on it. So that's in process right now. Anybody got any other questions about that? The Guthrie easement? All right, let me move on. The next is a pending termination of a vendor. We have an agreement that has provisions about how to terminate it. We are in the final stages of deciding which method we're going to use to terminate it. The decision to terminate is done. The decision of how to terminate it is almost done.
I do have a question on this. As far as Colorado's an at-will state, and as far as the legal jurisdiction on the contract of any type of severance agreement in a contract for a vendor or employee, pertaining to the at-will nature of the state. So I'm trying to understand how it is, how you can put that legally in a contract if this is an at-will state.
Generally, at will applies to employment, not to a contract. Okay, so it would, or it would not apply in this scenario because it's just a contract between two parties. And if a contract doesn't have a termination date, sort of to the point you're making, then there's no definite term to it and it can be terminated anytime, just because that's the nature of the contract. It doesn't spell out a termination date, but that's not the at-will scenario. That's just the law of contract.
And as far as this vendor goes,
That's where I'm going with this one. There is a contract. So which does define and does have a specific termination provision, which is very simple. We give them 2 months of payment of the premium of the monthly payment, and they're gone. And it's not with cause. It's just 2 months and you're gone. So that's where we are at the moment. We're almost ready to. Well, I already sent Jerry a draft of a termination letter for his review and comment. So we're way down the line on it. We need to close the gap, but it's darn close.
And if we have cause,
No, it's not. It's no cause.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, correct? Because it's based on
That's
contract
correct. The
termination.
difference between cause and no cause, and cause, it just as it says, is you got to say you guys did bad things and we're terminating you for cause. That's not what this is. This is just a provision within the contract that without cause, upon payment of 2 months fee or premium, it's over. So you don't get into an argument about who did what. It's very simple and it's cheap to get out. I'm thinking the monthly premium is like $150 or something. It's really nominal.
So I'm kind of curious as to, the situation of paying somebody 2 months severance.
That's in the contract, Neil.
I understand, but I would look at a way to actually make him work it.
Well, we can. It's a far more expensive way to do it.
We've already tried that.
Well, there's a for cause section in there, but then we're into an argument over who did what and the back and forth, and all you do is incur a shitload of attorney's fees when you don't need to do it. I mean, it's
so you give them 30-day end contract. We're going to pay the money anyway, and then utilize them. And if I need to, depending on what this individual does, have them take out the trash for 2 months. Something in the scope that's not, detrimental as far as the operation of the business is concerned, whether it be, hauling trash to the dump for us or, lifting the sidewalk or washing the windows or whatever for the funds that we pay, and we're going to pay it out and he's going to do nothing for it. I have kind of a minor issue with that.
And in fairness, I have not talked with Jerry about what the vendor would do for the 2 months. You raise a fair point, Neil.
I would say have them run cables, run wires, install light sockets, whatever, to the scope of that work.
Neil.
And I'll leave that to Jerry, what he wants to do with him.
Neil, the last person we did this to freaking copied half a hard drive and went out the door.
No, I remember that. So, in the scope of what this individual is.
Hang on a minute. We don't have, wait a minute. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty close to sure we don't have to give 30 days notice. We just give them the 2 months and they're gone. You raise a fair thought, Neil. Let me go look at the agreement. I think the 30 days is in relation to the for cause and the opportunity to correct some problem. I don't think there's a 30-day in the goodbye, here's your 2 months.
Sure. And I understand. I mean, for me, it's kind of a bigger thing because it should have been done 9 months ago. But here we are now. We're gonna pay out additional funds for somebody that's not going to do or complete their job. So, kind of disappointing.
All right. Then the last is that we have 2 inclusion agreements still pending. One with international development. We're waiting for an executed inclusion agreement from them. We sent a draft resolution for inclusion to Jerry for review and comment, and we're waiting to get that back. And we will file a motion for order of inclusion when all these other pieces are in place. So those three portions are still pending regarding international development. Then there's the same scenario with Circle K. We're waiting for an executed inclusion agreement, a resolution for inclusion sent to Jerry for review and comment, waiting for that to come back. And we'll file a motion for order of inclusion in the court once all these other pieces are in place. So those two are in the air, and that's where they are right now. So they're both not finished. All right. I guess my grumpy face is done, Troy.
Anybody have any questions for Ted?
Been a busy time.
Well, some of it's good.
Yeah. With paintbrush, we're talking soft costs. We've got an agreement, Guthrie line. You've heard Jerry talk about the follow-up that's going on. The vendor termination is at about the 90% stage, and the two inclusion agreements, we know what we need.
Okay. And as far as Grandview and Falcon Fields, or did I just miss that?
Grandview was the first one, the soft cost agreement. I mean, second one. That's the soft cost
I
agreement.
understand that piece, but what about Falcon Fields? Where are we at with Falcon Fields? Are they still muddling through the county, Jerry?
Yeah, they're going through the county right now. I reviewed their preliminary plan and approved it. So it's quite a bit of work that they have to do because they're involving CDOT because of the agreement they made, proximity to 24. So I haven't heard too much about them other than that review of their preliminary plan.
Okay. All right. Nothing else?
No, let me look at Falcon Field. Yeah, Falcon Field, where I've been involved, was their inclusion agreement, and that's done. Filed with the court, finished.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
Just a
Ted.
different Falcon, and we've got Falcon Fire Department, Falcon Fire Protection District, Falcon Highlands, Falcon Properties, Falcon School District, Falcon Vista.
We're
Got all of those.
Question on the fire department in a minute, but we're good.
Okay.
All right. Item 8, approval or disapproval of financials.
I had a question for Rachel on the financials.
Yeah, what's your question?
So if you look on, and maybe I'm just reading it wrong. So if you look on water enterprise, if you go down to auto vehicle and truck expense, it says what was expensed in January, but then if you go over to year to date, it's over double that.
So the year-to-date probably includes some of February as well.
Okay.
So so that's, I pulled this on 2/22. So those year-to-date numbers are pretty much to that date exactly.
Okay.
I had a question on 7410 on line items, showing us annual budget of over 8.3%, which is our average. I was just kind of curious what was going on with salary and wages in that area.
We'll have to look more in depth to see why. I know that we're dealing with some new hires and some other people leaving, so we do have a little bit of overlap happening right now.
Okay.
So that could be part of it.
Yeah, I think anything that falls out of line, if we're looking at a 12-month average based on what we have, is that if anything's over in the categories over 8.33%, then that would be out of our 12-month line budget, correct? So an easier way to look at the form, or look at our breakdowns between our revenues and our line items here is that anything is over 8.3 is going to be exceeding our budget line based on where we're at current month. So like our locating services, 11.3% on 70280. Payroll tax is 15.63, but that may be because we've got transitional hiring and stuff like that going on, so that's fine. Curious about that. Utilities at 9.52 on wastewater revenue expense.
Now, are we talking overage on it from what's budgeted, or are we talking that we're
Based
at
out budget,
9% of the budget already?
Yeah, budget versus actual January. So as an example, for wastewater revenue expense, so that is that revenue line. I'm looking on 70450 in utilities. 17,686. Is that a revenue line?
No, it's an expense.
Okay.
Utilities.
Yeah, and then we're looking at 21,890. Did we see a cost increase on that from MVA, or what line is that?
I can look at more in depth and get back to you for sure. I don't know exactly what utility was over. I'd have to, you know what? With wastewater, I bet you part of it is because Meridian is charging us for water. They're sending us separate bills for our wastewater plant's water usage, which we are working on getting that switched.
So we owe them wastewater fees?
We owe them water from our wastewater plant.
Okay, and what about the water that they owe from the other side? From water consumption from the tank?
So they don't owe us water. We took our water back to a point, and then the water that the wastewater plant was using made up the balance. We did end up with where we owed them a little bit of money for water. We are I'll be meeting with Meridian. There was some talk about how we're going to handle this. We're actually planning on hooking the wastewater plant into our water. We have water to the site. We just have to run it another couple hundred feet and connect it to our service to that 2-inch line that runs across MRB and Stapleton. So that's the plan. The idea with Meridian is that we'll pay that. They'll take water from us this summer. We'll pay that water back, and my thinking is that obviously then we get compensated from them for any water that we pump up to them. But those are details that I'm working out with Meridian right now.
Okay, awesome. Benefits line is a little higher. That's fine. We talked about that. Tax line. So those are the only questions I had on that, Rachel. Thank you. When do you think you'll have an answer on that payroll?
I can check it tomorrow when I get in.
Okay, perfect.
Is that a communication for all of us? So, because I did have that in my notes too, Neil.
I can send it out to everyone.
That'd be
Thanks,
great.
Rachel.
I heard a ding. Anybody else on the financials? Okay, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion for approval or disapproval of the January financials.
Move to approve the January financials.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion from Neil and a second from Stacy. Any further discussion on the financials? All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Anybody opposed? All right. I think somebody talked over somebody. All right, item 9, Park and Rec report. Jed, the floor is yours. Man, that beard's getting gray, man.
I'd be happy for Gray.
I made sure I said it when he was muted so he couldn't respond. You're muted, man.
All right. I'm glad you didn't hear my response then. Parks and Rec, a lot of good things. Maintenance, we are pretty close to finishing that lobby and cardio room. A couple minor things to finish off there with the rubber flooring, but everything looks really, really nice. The guys did a great job with that. Obviously, plowing and all that type of stuff, they've been great as far as the weather, keeping up with that type of stuff. All of our classes, painting, cooking, baking, so on, continue to be successful, well attended. We just added one called Story Time and Crafts, and we're going to see how that one takes off. That first one is this coming Sunday. We're looking into pottery classes. We've reached out to some art teachers for that. Guitar classes, we've reached out to some local music teachers to run that for us. Photography class, we've reached out to our photographer that we use for our sports programs, and she's going to be running a photography class in the near future also. So some cool additions to Parks and Rec. Beautification Day is coming up. We have 10 signed up so far, which is fantastic. We'll continue to kind of publicize that. Registration's open for spring disc golf league and spring soccer. We have over 40 already signed up for the soccer, which is fantastic. Still about a month out from starting that. What else we have going on here? Rentals, we continue to rent out to different swim teams, kayaking groups. We have another one that we're talking to about renting out on a Friday afternoon. It's a disabled vets group that wants to go kayaking in our pool, and I think that'd be a really cool opportunity. So we continue to kind of grow that piece to the Parks and Rec, just kind of using our facilities and generating some revenue off it, and also giving back to the community. So that's been great. Concerts in the Park series, we have 5 bands booked. When I wrote this, we had most of the food trucks. We are actually completely booked with the food trucks and dessert trucks, and they've all paid. So we're not going to have that issue like we ran into in one of the concerts where 1 or 2 don't show up. They've all paid and they're locked in. So we're excited about that. And we're going to do 5 this year instead of 4. Piggybacking on that, we have a couple different sponsor things that have kind of taken off. So one of them, we sold 2 more sponsor signs for the disc golf course. Hey, Jed,
Yes,
can I ask you one question before you get too far along?
you got it.
Concerts in the park.
Yes, sir.
How are we going to do that? Where are we going to do that with all the construction going on for the expansion?
Well, for the moment, I'm still planning on the exact spot that we had them this past year.
And we are working on a backup plan where it might be at Balkan Park, although I don't think that's ideal just because of the lack of parking. And I'm not sure where the food trucks would be. So I'm definitely open for suggestions as far as a backup plan. I know when we get to the RCE edition conversation, that's scheduled to be done by the end of September. So I'm not exactly sure when they'll be chewing up that area if we can't get a variance from the county on that extra parking. So it's kind of intertwined with that, obviously. So it's a great question and definitely open to other suggestions.
BMX park,
Say that again, I'm sorry.
BMX park.
Horseshoe in that area? Yeah, that might be a good area.
Just a thought.
Yep, absolutely. Writing that down. Okay. We had a realtor reach out. She wanted to sponsor, kind of get her name out there. So she's sponsoring the first concert where we charged her a fee. We bought some yard signs for her. She'll set up a table, handouts, that type of thing, and promote herself. Obviously, some of that money, most of that money offset the cost of that band for the first one. And we actually had a second realtor reach out to sponsor one of the other ones. So might be a little bit of a way to offset our costs going forward. Also, that same realtor also sponsored our disc golf scorecards. So we have her information on all the disc golf scorecards, and we charge her a fee, and that didn't cost us anything. So that was a nice little offset also. So we continue to kind of promote that type of stuff and help out local companies. We have the, I forget what it's Stratus IQ. I forget the catchy phrase that they're using. It's like gigabits and fits, or, out of whatever it was. And anyway, that's kind of a good way to promote us as well as their own. And we kind of get a kickback every time someone signs up for Stratus IQ over the next couple of months. So that's kind of nice. Also, we've had Liberty Tree reach out again to rent some more fields for some different camps. So we'll hopefully generate a little bit of revenue from that. We had a karate studio looking to rent a room also. So we'll kind of follow up with them and see where those go. For the bigger conversation items, Balkan bathroom, still waiting to hear back from some of our general contractors that I've reached out to as far as who would run that, getting permits. And I'm also waiting to hear back a definitive answer from Pikes Peak Regional Building as far as the exact process and, if we can just do it ourselves versus having a general contractor do it, that type of thing. So kind of waiting for more answers on that before I give you any more information. Although I think it's kind of secondary to the RCE edition. We did finally get a definitive answer from Hammers as far as what that price increase is going to be. I believe you guys all have this, correct?
Yes.
So you're looking at a number, basically $74,000 increase. If we're going to look at the positive, we still had about $64,000 left in our initial contingency money, which then gives us a balance of about $10,000 to still find. My first possible solution to that would be taking the money out of the outdoor fitness equipment that's been budgeted for as far as the capital improvement, capital projects. We have 15 allocated for the outdoor fitness, so that 15 would cover that $10,000 balance. So Hammers is asking if we're okay with that. Kind of a bad way to put it, but if we'll sign off on that $74,000 increase and move forward, and then they can order the metal building. They have the contracts ready. The negative is if you wait past March 1st is what we're told, there's another increase coming. So I'm kind of throwing that out at you. And the last piece that's intertwined in there to have conversation about is they think they can reduce that 74,000. They've been told by regional building that they do not need, let me get the term right, the fire suppression and fire alarm systems. So they don't need to put those in, which they're thinking is somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000 of cost. And we reached out to our insurance company today to see if they require it for an insurance policy. According to the email that I got today, they do not require that the building have those two things. However, obviously safety is a different conversation. Risk management is a different conversation. So I'm throwing that out to you. A, are you okay with the $74,000 increase? B, do you want or not want the fire suppression and fire alarm system in there? If you don't want it, they think it's a savings of about 35 to 40,000. If you do want it in there, then the increase is the total of 74,000.
I don't understand how it wouldn't be required. It's an assembly building.
I don't know, Jerry, you were in the meeting with us. I don't know if you want to piggyback on that.
Well, obviously there was a chance we were going to need it. Hammers put it into the bid, but now working with regional is saying it's not required per code, and so I don't know why it would. I mean, obviously, we're concerned with everybody's safety. However, this fire suppression is not required by regional. I guess I wonder, Jed, we haven't talked to the fire department about that. Maybe we should talk to them.
Okay.
Talk to our insurance company as well. So does that qualify for insurance on the building?
Say that again.
Insurance for the building?
Yep.
Yeah, they weren't requiring it.
And she emailed back that the insurance policy does not require those things.
But that's based on its current use stated as what you have it outlined right now, correct?
Yes.
So if that use changes, then we may need it in the future.
What would change? I don't understand.
I don't know. Jed's kind of crazy, so he may install a hockey rink, next week.
Well, if he gives those fire eating lessons, that could impact it. But seriously, I think the fire department, we may want to talk to them, see what they have to say. But if regional's not requiring it, and our insurance company said that it wouldn't, underwriters wouldn't ding us for not having it. So right now it appears that we could go without it.
Well, let's check on the costs related to if they install it now or if we had to install it later.
Well, that would be a significant cost difference. So you're thinking that we may want to keep a fire suppression system or install one?
I mean, what's the
regional doesn't require it?
What's the maximum capacity of the building? Person wise.
I don't know. The regional would determine that.
They haven't rated it yet?
Not to our knowledge.
We're still waiting permit, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the last email I got from Elliot was they're expecting it by the end of next week and then break ground 2 weeks after that day.
Okay. And then on that other issue, Jed, with the $70,000 cost increase. So with hammers, did you look them straight in the eye and say no?
Gary wouldn't let me.
The other question is did they laugh like you are right now? Because obviously it's not something that we can change, correct?
No.
They've already lowered the number. They apparently have been working with the subs and gotten some of their subs to reduce their price. So they've been actively trying to reduce our costs. What was the original figure, Jed? Was something like 120,000 they came up with? Yeah.
What if we have the community homeowners all come in and we can finger paint the building without reduce the cost? I'm just teasing.
So
Basically, cost is in place.
We were thinking we wouldn't need a roof. We could have an open air
right.
Right.
for the time being.
So I would say yes on the 74,000, and I would say no on the removing the fire suppression system. I think with the amount of people you could possibly have in there, I think taking away a safety. I would check with the fire department, but I think even though regional's saying it may not be required in the building code, it may be required in fire code. Determined on how many people are going to be in there, what the max capacity is rated for.
We'll check with the fire department.
Jed,
Yes.
Please make sure that you create a due diligence trail of the efforts that you went through regarding the need for the fire suppression. Okay, if you've got letters from any third parties, all of that stuff. So, you know, on another day when things go bad, you can show the due diligence you went through to support the decision that you made. So don't end up with a who said what business. You got to support it by hard copy. Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Wouldn't regional have a stamp on there for Falcon Fire to sign off on that anyway? At the new building in their district?
Depending on if they, I mean, this is several permits, so it's probably not been inspected.
Once we have final plans, I'm sure there'll be a spot for Falcon Fire to sign off.
So back to the building itself. If we say yes on this additional 73,000 tonight, and if they don't have the permit by tomorrow, are they ordering the building anyway tomorrow?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry. They're not ordering it unless there's a signature on the contract to purchase it. Is that accurate, Jerry?
Whether they order it will be based on whether we say yes, whether we sign the dotted line. Otherwise, we'll be absorbing an increase as of March 1st. We were actually looking at this earlier, as you remember, and we were trying to. They were suggested that we try to reduce costs by, getting our some vendors and subs to try to reduce their costs, which they were successful at. We talked about the risk that there is of ordering a building that hasn't been approved by the RBD, and Hammers was pretty confident that there would not be any revisions to the building that would cost us money by because we ordered it and then had to do a change order. But there certainly is that possibility at some but it's pretty negligible. So
Well,
there's that risk, yeah, John. There's that risk.
If you remember, I asked Steve Hammers that specific question, that if we ordered the building prior to getting the permit and they came out and said there were change orders that had to be done because the code was different, that Hammers would have to fix it on site with their engineers and with the building engineers, and they would absorb that cost.
Okay.
And that's what he said at the last time we talked to him.
Okay. I believe we were referring to a contract and what the contract said, and if that's what the contract says, we're golden. But I'd have to refer to that. The thing about it is that we're gonna have to give Hammers a go-ahead or a yay or nay tomorrow.
I make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second it. I'll get a motion by John and I second the approval of the change order. Is there any further discussion on it? Okay, all in favor of approving the additional $73,791.95?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries unanimously.
So Troy, does this mean you need to go over to the district office to sign this tomorrow?
Yep, I'll be there in the morning.
We'll let Elliot know to bring it over first thing in the morning and have it there. Couple more things on my list here. There was a piece of land behind Falcon Fire that, and I think maybe Ted can talk to this from the past. You guys had talked about leasing that from them, putting a playground on it. And it's kind of fallen apart based on,
It was in return for us taking over the maintenance.
yes, for the pipes, the water and sewer underneath that piece of land is what the chief has talked to me about. So they are still willing to lease that piece of land to us for a minimal price. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was $1 a year for 100 years was the initial conversation. Obviously, the first piece to it, fire department would have to subdivide that land so it's not attached to the firehouse anymore. And then we could take that piece of land and do something really neat with it. But we do have to take over the underground water and sewer pipes. So that's a conversation to throw at you guys to see if, speaking of my crazy ideas, I would love to put a mini golf course right there. I think it's really cool opportunity. We've measured it out. We've been talking to, emailing back and forth with the company Harris, who builds these things. I think it'd be like really cool out in that area. You could generate some revenue off it from non-residents. So that's my grandiose idea, but obviously we need to have the piece of land first. So it's up for conversation whether you guys want to continue negotiating or talking with the fire department for that piece of land. But in addition, we would have to take ownership of the water and sewer lines.
Just say that water and sewer was installed according to our spec. The potential, by owning that water and sewer line and developing that piece of property, it gives us a good opportunity to have bathrooms or possibly even other facilities that require water and sewer. So it seems to be a pretty good deal. I've discussed it with my crew and with JDS, and I've come up with no reason not to accept those utilities. The water line runs from street that is, but runs north and then turns and goes east. There was one caveat that was supposed to be a looped line, and I'm not sure if that loop ever got completed. But at any rate, the sewer line runs also from that street to the north and then turns and goes into the fire department. We would be willing to accept the pipe between the two manholes, but the pipe that goes to the east into the fire department, that would be their service line, and that would have to remain the fire department's responsibility.
And then, so let's talk about this long-term plan and how it affects the district as far as the service plan goes, Ted, us owning that piece of land, or I guess leasing it.
No, you would own it.
So it's an ownership piece.
That's
It's
what I'm
not,
hearing them describe.
well, Jed was just talking about a lease agreement, $1 a year for 100 years.
I believe that was what you guys, and again, I wasn't around, so I believe that was
Oh,
my
all right.
predecessor or the initial conversation was that lease concept.
Is there reluctance for us to own it?
Doesn't hurt to ask.
There's no reluctance from me to own it. It's just a matter of, can we own that piece of land or purchase it from the fire department? Are there limitations within the service plan for us doing that?
And I obviously don't know off the top of my head. I doubt it, but I'll check.
Well, we don't have to have a yay or nay tonight, but that's proposed before us. And I think if I look into that service plan, Ted will be able to approach the fire department and with a specific agreement, see if they agree, and then we'll come back.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'd rather the board look at it once it's fleshed out to know legally what we're entitled to do there.
I'll check and see. Did you all resolve what you want to do regarding the fire suppression system? You said, take it out, leave it in. I'm not clear what you decided.
We said check with the fire department
So it's in the air at the moment, unresolved.
as far as the fire suppression system.
Okay.
We have other buildings with no fire suppression, so
But are they going
they have to
to
say.
house a couple hundred kids at a time if it?
Understand.
So the conclusion is there isn't a conclusion at the moment. We're waiting for response from the fire district.
I would, at least me, unless the board as a whole has a different opinion there.
I'm in agreement.
Me too.
Same.
Okay, I'll touch base with fire department and get back to you guys on that piece. My last piece is revisiting the fob system over at CCW. We've had requests from some residents to open that back up. I know we touched base with this towards the latter part of last year, with things loosening up a little bit, going back to yellow, allowing a little bit more wiggle room with the number of people. The positives, obviously, there'll be a handful of residents that definitely are happy that they can kind of come and go on a 24-hour system again. It does save some finances as far as not having to staff it, about 10 hours every day. The negative is people are basically on the honor system as far as wearing masks, sanitizing their hands on the way in, wiping things down without us there, watching them or reminding them constantly. So I'm kind of throwing that back out to the board. Any interest in opening that fob system so it goes back to a 24-hour system, or do you want to keep it as is for the time being?
Jen, is that system recorded over there 24/7?
Did you say recorded?
Yeah, video surveillance.
Yes, sir.
Of course, aside from the restrooms, right?
Yeah.
And do we have things posted up in there that follow the guidelines just like everybody else?
Yes, we do.
What's the state statute saying? Does it have to be manned or unmanned, or does it just have to be posted?
From what I have read myself. It's posted.
So I think a clarification, if we're okay with it having posted, we tend to probably know a little bit more. If we can get away with doing the fob system, I don't see any issue with it. Especially if we're, if the state's reduced COVID protection levels, we just got to make sure everybody's safe and reminded. But I think the recording and video side, if somebody's not following policy, then, you have the key fob to send them an email to say, hey, please wipe down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Occasional review of the camera system. So
Just so you have all the information, we do have, we have had one resident in particular that does call weekly to kind of complain that people aren't wearing their masks or they're not wiping things down. We have checked the video. We don't really see what he's seeing. But I do know that he reached out to El Paso County. They reached out to me. We invite them to come watch any video they would like, which obviously they declined because they're a little bit busy. But we're following, we went through the whole conversation. We're following everything that we're supposed to, as far as temperature checks and hand washing, masks, signage. But
That's going to be part of the issue is if we open it up to a key fob, we're not going to be able to meet some of the standards as far as temperature check when they come in.
well, it's a freestanding machine. So technically, I mean, if they're reading the sign and following the protocol and technically they can, they take their own temperature. And if, they're adults and if it's 100.3, they're supposed to leave. And if that's all written out for them and posted right there and, technically we would be covered. However, again, we're on the honor system. I'm not sure.
and do we need a release for something like that? I don't know if, if it's not capable, then we just don't do it. And if people can't do it to be safe, then we just don't do it. But
my opinion right now is that we just follow the state guidance right now until we, now I know that some of the school districts are going back to full in person and stuff. So things may ease up a little more here after spring break to a point to where we could open that key fob system back up over there. But unfortunately, I don't see that being right now. It's only going to take one phone call. And they could shut us down.
Yep. That's fine. We can revisit down the road again, another month or
Unless somebody else has something different.
no, I agree.
I mean, we're kind of dealing with an extraordinary time right now where I would rather us lean back than lean forward into the unknown on this for at least for right now.
Can I give them your phone number?
Yeah, my phone number and email is on the
I'm
website. So
no, it's fine because we have all parts of the spectrum, and so I was asked to bring it back up. And
I have a feeling even if you opened it up for key fob, you're going to have just as many people complaining, if not more, that one, people aren't wearing a mask. Two, they're not wiping down the equipment and things afterwards. Three, they're not taking their temperature when they come in. And somebody will stand there and watch. It is always going to happen.
fair enough. As far as Parks and Rec, that's all I had. Anything else?
There is a piece in here, RCE expansion contract for fitness equipment. Did you want to go with that?
Sorry. Revisiting that, we were told that there was a price increase coming also on March 1st, 6%. The lease is less than $2,000 a month for all of it's a 60-month lease for the equipment. And so,
and then after 60 months, it all gets replaced, or is it rotational? certain percentage gets replaced?
May have to get back to you on that.
I mean, I think the number's good. I think we budgeted more than that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same company that we're already using though, right?
Yes, this is Foundation Fitness. Finance pieces, Geneva something. But yeah, they're the ones we released from right now. And they've been fantastic as far as if we have a machine not working or broken or whatever, they're out within a day or two and it's fixed and really.
And I mean, that's quite a bit of equipment there. So
they've been great since I've been on board.
So that's all the equipment for the new facility as far as the weight room.
Yes.
Okay. And what do you need on this contract?
Just basically, yes.
Yes or no from the board?
Yes, sir.
I hope it's a yes, because I calculated that to be a $24,000 contract, and which it allowed me to sign it, $24,000 a year. So that's been submitted.
Yeah, but the total contract here is 90,000.
No,
If you purchase it.
yeah, that's a purchase.
So this is the purchase piece on the back?
Yeah, the second to last page has your 60-month lease estimate between 1,800 and 1,975 a month. You see that on the second to last page?
No, the second to last page says $82,000.
To the left.
Okay, here we go. 60-month lease.
And Jerry, what did you just say? You already budgeted 24,000. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, this is in the budget already.
So if we approve the budget, do we need to approve this too?
Not if it's under 60,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Looks like pretty nice equipment for the homeowner. So
No, it is nice. It's a lot. I mean, looks to be 5 times what we have now, at least.
yeah, that's what I was looking at. And the equipment looks really nice, and it'll be new and fresh. So that'll be great.
But can we find out about the as far as the lease, 60-month lease, as for rotating equipment, making sure that, you know, if all of it's replaced at 60 months or how that works with that? I'd be curious to know that, only for, you know, I don't want it to be like the CCW was before we got the new equipment now, where you got 20-year-old treadmill in there. You know,
Makes
the
sense.
little robot guy down there freaking helping you along because it doesn't work right anymore.
Is he terminable at will?
What's that?
The guy turning the crank.
Yeah. All right.
Now I think I am done.
Thanks, Jed.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, good job with that basketball league, by the way. That went really well with.
Oh, fantastic.
So
thank you.
Really well. For those of you that didn't know, they put on a basketball league. I think you guys had, what, 6 teams?
We had 4 teams of 8 or 9 kids per team, I believe it was. So give or take 30 some odd.
I went out there Saturday and kept score for the 2 games, and it was pretty good. It was fun watching them play. So,
Well, thank you. Year one. So we'll just keep going.
All right, moving along. Any questions for Jed before we move on? All right. Item 10, water and wastewater report.
All right, well, as weather improves, we're going to be able to be out more, cleaning mains and inspecting mains. But we need above freezing temperatures to accomplish that. Lift stations, everything is working as designed. Systems are all operational. We did have a communication failure that caused an overflow, not really an overflow, but that we had to report. But it did fill up another vault that we had to pump out. But that's been remedied and everything's operational. Wastewater plant, again, tests are in compliance. This is a big deal, especially, my experience with our old wastewater plant where I was constantly writing letters to the state apologizing for not being in compliance. So this is a great report. We did a microscopic analysis. We do have a foaming problem. They found high concentrations of beryllium. So we're working at controlling that, trying out a few different things to try to control that, hopefully to get that foaming under control. The no exposure stormwater permit approved. That's, again, one of those new things that came down the pipe. Never used to have to deal with that. But the last time I was involved with a sanitary survey by the state, they came to the wastewater plant. They were more concerned that we had a piece of equipment parked and it might leak oil than they were about anything else. It was kind of unique. I had never had that concern expressed by the health department before. Water, all water systems are doing well. Pump 3 upgrade is waiting on parts, the pumps and the VFDs. There will be some electrical work that we can do prior to the installation of the new pumps. And Ross Electric will be doing that. Of course, the cold weather always brings frozen water pipes. Our crew helps our residents out with advising them how to deal with frozen pipes. But unfortunately, a frozen pipe usually means a broken meter, which we replace, but they do get charged for that. We did have a couple of water breaks in Falcon Highlands. Of course, we operate that. One was in a vacant building where I believe the liquor store used to be. The fire line froze and broke. That was a significant break. That was a 4-inch 4-inch line that was flowing full capacity. And then actually the next day or two, they had another break right there in the same location, but this time in the street. So our crews really helped out Falcon Highlands. They appreciate our being on site so quickly. So construction at Bentgrass is ongoing. I just met with Challenger Homes. They're actually working on phase 3. That's the final phase. So they expect, if things continue as they are, they expect to be built out in 2024. Falcon Marketplace construction is continuing. They probably won't be building anything there until after April. Our under drain flows measured. This is something we do on a monthly basis. It has to be reported. It's part of our replacement plan. We have been negotiating with Oakwood. They're relocating the Tamlin line. which is a 12-inch ductile line. And they are going to do their relocation in a 16-inch PVC. So it gives us better capacity in that area, easier to repair. However, it is going to cost Woodman Hills approximately $10,000 to accomplish that, but it's well worth it to have that extra capacity in that line. When you go from 12-inch to 16-inch, the capacity jumps exponentially. It's amazing how much more water can go through a 16-inch than a 12-inch. Sterling Ranch was doing that work at Woodman and Meridian, and I'm sure that anyone travels that area was inconvenienced by it, but that wasn't our project. That was Sterling Ranch's project. However, our crews were on site because they did cross our infrastructure. So our crews were on site to make sure that they had proper clearances on our infrastructure, and that they obviously didn't damage anything, and that it was backfilled properly so we don't have problems in the future. And that, I believe, is kind of winding down. I think they're down to the last little bit in the acceleration lane going north on Meridian Road. Hopefully they'll be all done, and the traffic control will be out of our way. I know it's an inconvenience for everybody. Of course, Rachel is working with new hires also, and I have a couple also on my crews, and they're doing a great job. They're picking up. Actually, they actually had experience, but they're picking up on how we do things real quickly, and they're energetic and excited to be working for Woodman Hills. So we're fortunate to have these guys. So the other thing I did is included in this packet a 10-year projection on what we're going to be doing. Now there isn't a number in there for the RO. I will see if I can get John to commit to a number on that, but at any rate, it gives you an idea of what we have coming down the pipe, and we'll continue to update it. It's I guess a living document, so it'll be something that we visit periodically, and but I think it's a very good roadmap on where we need to go. Any questions?
I have one question. When should we expect to see the same projections from Park and Rec?
I believe that's in the packet, isn't it?
I just see the water, wastewater.
I have a 10-year projection here from Parks and Rec. Jed, did you, or Rachel, did you recall this? Was this in the board packet?
It was not. I don't know. I don't have it.
Okay, well, we'll
We can
send
get
this
it
out
sent
to
out,
everybody
though.
so you have it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
I like this format. Is that letterhead?
What are you talking about?
Looking at your document, it's prepared by Jerry Jacobson. It looks very, very nice. I like what you did there. Your report there.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, it actually has Woodman Hills Metro District Water Wastewater Department. It almost looks like letterhead. It looks nice.
Very thank you. It's I haven't changed anything all this time, but so.
Oh, I didn't know if we had that same report that was done with that type of letterhead. I like the other thing. Thank you for including the 10-year projections on this.
Sure. Yeah, I think that was very important to get an idea of where we're headed there. So
nicely done. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
See if Parks and Rec and administration can follow the same thing and do the same report for us in the future.
Parks and Rec?
Yeah, I like what Jed had laid out there, but it's just kind of, it's all bullet pointed out, but, with his progress report, just kind of putting it up the top and, report by Jed, so we know who's responsible for all the notes. And then the same thing for the administration for Rachel would be great.
See what we can do.
So now the public sees this stuff too. So,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Actually,
Vivek,
Daniel, I'll get this over to you so you can get it posted. I believe I've neglected to get this over to you.
yeah. And Daniel, do we have letterhead for the district?
We do. We have letterhead.
We
and
have letterhead.
Yeah, maybe we can put it out if this stuff's going to be official for consumption for our folks in the neighborhood. It'd be kind of nice to have it laid out, so it's official. Just a suggestion.
Agreed. We'll do it.
Thank you.
Good idea, Neil.
All right.
Any questions for Jerry on water and wastewater? All right.
No, thank you, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, item 11, items unfinished from previous meetings.
So I kind of want to include this section just to make sure that we're not missing anything from prior meetings. I know the last meeting we talked about computers being completed. Did that rollout get done? All the new machines are in place for the office. The new purchase is done. The lease agreement set up. That stuff
Lease
installed.
agreement set up. I have the computers. I have 2 that I still need installed.
Okay. And then do they have an ETA on when theirs are going to be installed and set up?
I should know more here soon, for sure.
Okay.
Who's installing those?
It will most likely be our new vendor.
Okay.
They should be done by next month then.
Oh, they should be done as soon as they show up. I'm thinking it'll be.
Is that what this
within
last
10
page
days.
is, Rachel? Is that what this last?
That's from Jeremy, or the integrity technology.
So is he working on those items and he'll have those completed by end of month?
He has those, yeah, to be completed by the 28th.
Okay.
So in 4 days.
That's what it says.
Okay.
As of right now, it is not.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because I remember we talked last month and he was supposed to send over this for the board to look at what he was doing and when he was going to have things done by. So is he still?
This is what we got.
Okay. So he's supposed to have this done by end of month.
Yeah,
Right.
we in 4 days, the 28th.
All right.
Okay. Could you notify the board if it's not done?
Yes.
That'd be great. Cool.
And also find out if when the email migrates, is that our email as well? Or are we going to have to redo that? I know the first time we did it, it was a pain in the butt.
Oh, yeah, I'll see.
I would hate to miss out on any correspondence from you guys.
I love emails from Jerry. And I know he loves sending them.
Oh, on a side note, thanks, Jerry, for sending that email to me about the updated title stuff. On a side note, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, Neil, I can think of 2 things from this meeting which are not completed yet to checklist, if you will, for the next time is one is the fire, fire protection land, and the other is the fire suppression in the new building. So both of those are unresolved at the moment.
Yeah, we'll add those in for next month to follow up.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah,
There's
I
some
agree.
examples.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to add this in, so I'd like some input from everybody else, but it's just sometimes we get things that drop and we don't discuss it and it just disappears, and and I think we resolve it one way or another, but nobody else knows. So that was the one item I had, was just computer completion at the office with the new rollout of the new equipment. And then the older items, I've got a few items for that. So if anybody else has anything for 11, go ahead.
I have a question on 11.
Okay.
So are you proposing that in the future, like the questions that were asked tonight that have not been answered, that those be put under 11? So that whether they're answered between now and the next meeting, everybody gets the answer at the next meeting?
That's the idea.
So Rachel, I guess that means that you need to add all the questions from tonight for the next minutes for next month. Is that correct, Neil? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'd like to have on there, is questions from this evening, so that we can post them for next month for follow-up.
Okay.
I've noted a variety of review and comments that Jerry will be doing. So do you want those on the list?
That'd be great. I just want to make sure we don't miss it. So if it's anything that pertaining that we need to go back and discuss,
okay,
we have them resolved, I want to make sure we get it on the next agenda.
All right.
So
Any
some
other
of this, I anticipated that we would be getting answers and sending it out to the board as soon as we have answers, so you'd be getting emails with answers. So if that resolves the question, okay, in a satisfactory manner.
Well, I think some of them are going to need to come out in the next meeting for the public. The fire land issue, the suppression system, those all directly affect the folks watching at home, and so
I think
those answers would need to come out, in the public forum like this.
I think
Yeah,
send out the information as you get it, but still make it part of old business during a board meeting.
We can put the items up there and just list it as resolved,
Yeah.
just so that the community knows that, we looked at it, we addressed it, it's been taken care of, and if anything else all else fails, that everybody on the board can actually answer to it if there's a question from homeowners in the community. So that's just my thoughts on that. I hate loose ends. And then the secondary piece was board follow-up on older items. So for me, that's going to be, we can start with the tank sale. We've never finished that up. Is there opportunities for somebody purchasing that? Are we going to repaint it? Are we going to, do disco lights on and hold a dance center in there? Or, what are we going to do with that piece?
Grain silo.
Yeah, grain silo. There you go.
Give it to Jed. He will definitely come up with something.
Put lights on it, call ET home. I'm not sure what we're doing on that particular project. The other thing is third-party relocations. So I know that Jerry was getting that in effect. Has that been rolled out? Are we executing that now?
So I just got a list of contractors that could potentially take that tank and move it. And you know, it's something that I need to investigate before, because we could really use a million gallon storage at the Theriot site. We've got 1 million gallon tank there and another 250,000 gallon tank, and a 250,000 gallon tank isn't much. So if Meridian, they may be interested in purchasing a tank. I have, like I said, I have a meeting coming up with Meridian where much of this will be discussed. But for some reason, their general manager is leaving, and so they've kind of been in a bit of upheaval over there. So, so at any rate, the tank thing is still in the works, and I did get a quote from a demo company that would come in and remove it. But I hate to get rid of a perfectly good tank. So
I agree. So I think we just keep following up on it and figure out what
yeah,
we're going to do.
yeah, I don't really. And that's all I have to really report now. But you know, once we have, you know, something, you know, worthwhile to report on, I'll let you know what's going on.
Okay. Well, I'd like to keep it on the list. I don't know how anybody else feels, but you know, we ask about it once every 30 days. You can just say no, status is the same as last time, then great. You know, but that way it doesn't drop off our list. And we know that it's getting, you know, paid attention to as far as the district's concerned.
Sure.
You know, relocations. We've got a relocation third party that we were working on. Are you still doing that? Is that done?
Relocations.
Oh, I'm sorry, locations, not relocations. So locator.
The locator is doing our locates now. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So third party locators in place now.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Take that off the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then is just checking on the progress on the risk resilience plan. I know it's not due until June.
Yeah, we haven't done anything with that yet. I'll be working with JDS on that. So, but they've done them the same for other districts. So, we should have a template to work with to get it done in good time.
Awesome. Thank you. Those are the only things I had.
Okay, so does that cover the board follow-up on older items as well? So item 12,
Was
now past item 12.
there anything that had to be done with the tap fee for the fire department?
Yeah, that was on you guys. We already talked about that.
Okay.
I already signed a check to him when I came in office on Wednesday, so I hope.
We approved it.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Public comment regarding current board business not on the agenda. Item 13. Any public comment out there? Daniel, did you get any emails or any messages?
I have not.
Okay. Item 14, any other business that we haven't
So
covered?
I do have one thing. It's not super important. I was wondering how the board felt about getting the packets on Friday. I did write to Rachel and Jerry, and they said to present it to the rest of the board. And it's not really business related other than getting our packets ahead of time. So that way it gives me the weekend when I'm not working to read it. but it would of course have a 2-day lapse. It wouldn't be, it would be 2 days older than current.
I'm all for getting the information the sooner the better. We all have very tight schedules throughout the week. Being able to review this isn't a super thick packet this week, but a lot of times it is. So being able to get these well in advance whenever we get these contracts or things that I can look over a week in advance or on Friday, so I got some time to kind of slice out a chunk of time over the weekend would be great.
I did go in and Jerry and I discussed this a little bit on Wednesday. I understand his point to where he's got 3 other people that have to give him information for him to compile the reports. So I can understand that side of it. Park and rec, wet water, wastewater, we're not going to get those until right before the or Monday, Tuesday before the meeting. The thing that I did ask for was when we have stuff like they got the information from Hammers on Friday. They got the other stuff we discussed in executive sometime last week or before. So anything that the board can look at other than the reports, if we could get that when they get it, that would be super helpful and give everybody the opportunity to sit down and look over it.
I would agree. Sooner is better. If we can get it in pieces, and then when it's finally assembled, then we get the entire board packet at whatever time that you can do the full completion. But the other pieces, I've been extremely busy this week. I just got back from Denver, 2 hours before this meeting, so it would be helpful.
What do you
So to have a board packet ready by Friday, is going to take, it's more than a 2-day lag time, and obviously, we're like I was telling John, we're dependent on people to give us the information so that we can produce our reports. We're dependent on people to approve agendas and approve minutes, and so there's a lot of moving parts, and so it'll take some effort on everybody's part to make this work.
We're not saying we need the whole packet on Friday, just the information as it comes into the district. If we can get like these large contracts or even these large equipment like this fitness stuff here, as soon as we get that, send it out to everybody. That way they can already be looking through that to give us a little bit of lead time on some of it. Sometimes we get into, especially when we have meetings that run till 9-10 o'clock, where we have a considerable amount of stuff from either Ted or other contract stuff that's going to require a lengthy review. Even
well, we can definitely be forwarding stuff on, I guess, that rather than waiting for a board packet to be put together and you getting that, I can see your point there, but that shouldn't be difficult.
I mean, even like shooting us a heads up on the financials, because these were financials that were from basically 1 January to 22 February is what Rachel said. So you send it to us.
Jerry is trying to use different things as leverage to get Meridian to buy it.
Huh?
John, you're not muted.
So if when it comes to the financials, I know that it takes a while to get a month closed out, right, Rachel?
It does. it's a lot of, like you guys said, moving pieces. I've got different people doing different things at different times, so it's just making sure I get all my stuff for my staff in order to get it all done and go forward.
So
So
I
we
guess
can do whatever you guys want.
Let's bump it up to the Friday. Let's put the cutoff at the Friday before the meeting for all that information. If there's anything last minute that comes in, that's fine. We can stick that in the board packet. But as far as preparing everything for the meetings on the next Thursday, the Friday prior, let's get everybody, the staff, to get everything to you guys so that we can at least have the information by the Friday before, so that we can have ample time to start reviewing some of that stuff. If it's small stuff, that's fine. But some of the larger items, we're going to need more time to review. I mean, we're reviewing. It was a scramble from, I got home 30 minutes before the meeting tonight and still needed to review the financials. So I spent 30 minutes reviewing a month and a half of financials that I needed to go through. So there's just little things like that I think a little more lead time for us gives us a little bit better opportunity, and it might make the meetings go a little bit smoother because then we won't have as many questions to fire back on at the meeting, as if we already have more of that stuff to one, digest, and two, we can get a lot of our simpler questions out of the way before we even get here.
As for the agenda, we should, figure out a time and process that you want that done, and we can make that easier for, everybody involved to approve. So I can carve out time as long as I know what day we need it by, and it's going to be set and done, and we can get it approved.
I was about to ask a question on that front. Given this directive, what day does it make sense to have the agenda finalized? Shall we say the Thursday, a week before the meeting? Rachel, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's just if something comes up, then we'll always have an amended agenda. But because sometimes we don't know, if we're gonna have the documents or everything for the meeting. And if we don't have it, we don't want to put it on the agenda. And then if we do that, then we'll have the amended agendas. But it's like I said, it's up to you guys. We can do whatever.
Neil, do you want to do that agenda on the Thursday, a week before the meeting?
Yeah, I think we could do that. And if there's an addition that needs to be made to it, we're not planning on posting the agenda until when? That following Monday? The issue is not posting it. The issue is just making sure that everybody's getting next month's agenda put together, correct? And then approved?
Well, it's getting all supporting documentation, I think, is more important than anything.
Right.
The agenda, we can always amend if need be on the meeting night if we have stuff that needs to be added. We have mechanisms in the agenda now to where we can add stuff into other business and things if we needed to. But as far as the process, I mean, I would rather do it this way because we can always sit down and hash out a couple paragraphs to put in bylaws if we need to, as far as putting a process in place for getting information out a little bit smoother.
So now we get it 1 week before, correct, Daniel? Before the meeting?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
thank you to all parties who put that packet together. I just know that every single month it is a mad dash for me to try and read all of this stuff, especially when you get like an 86-pager pack and you're like, oh my goodness, when am I gonna squeeze this in? So thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Other business? Ted, don't look so happy. We're almost there. All right. Item 15, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Stacy, second by Neil. Any other discussion before we adjourn? Okay. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, guys. Good job. And we will talk to you in the morning, Jerry.
Okay.
Good night, all.